Now, I think that we can all agree that Snow White 2024 is going to be one of those ironic movie releases for Disney, if it does even get released, because we know that Bob Iger and the board are really having serious discussions on exactly how they're going to cancel out this movie depending on the fan reception of the upcoming official trailer that's all set and ready to debut by this September. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into exactly what's going on here with Rachel Zegler and everything related to the up-and-coming Snow White 2024 film. Now, as you all know, ever since those leaked photographs surfaced of the 7 dwarfs, many weeks ago, there has been a lot of shakeups happening between Bob Iger and the board and exactly how to deal with the overall backlash and how they have been heading into serious damage control to the point where it really has hit rock bottom and has become quite embarrassing for Disney. Now, by the way, guys, I mentioned this on my Twitter today. Disney will be initiating their earnings call for Q3 of 2023. That's going to kickstart around 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's usually around 4:33 or 4:35. You know, it's always a couple minutes late. But when you look at stuff like this, everything happening right now with Snow White 2024, the damage control gets even worse. And people out there like Rachel Zegler unintentionally, seemingly, really make it very obvious and admit that this is going to be one big disaster of a film, and how it's going to be quite ironic because Disney really all started with Snow White. It very may well end with Snow White. Now, with that being said, with actress Rachel Zegler gearing up for the release of Snow White 24, she has been confirming several awful things about the upcoming film, where she delivered the following to the world. Well, this film is something that we really wanted to change from the 1937 original because, you know, it's not 1937 anymore. We really wanted to set a great piece of symbolism in this film and a great message to all women on this earth that you don't really need a Prince Charming or true love, and that women can be a rising force of leadership and stand their ground. That's what this film is about. We needed to fit this film to the modern audience and to the modern female. Director Mark Webb and I both agreed that this movie really needed to be done to dissect it from the original story. This is going to be the most diverse Disney film yet, I feel, and it's brilliant. I just cannot wait for everyone to see this thing on the big screen. And to the naysayers that reject this film and Disney's plans with it, can seriously just keep quiet. They all need to realize that we aren't retelling the original German tale. This is something new for all audiences, for all countries around the world. Now, before I get to the next big thing about Rachel Zegler and what she had to say, let me just say one thing. This is coming from a person like her, who was literally outside on the streets, you know, really kind of becoming a part of the whole writer's strike and everything happening with SAG, saying something ridiculous like she feels that she deserves to be paid for every single hour, for every single person that watches Snow White on Disney Plus whenever it hits streaming. She is like, for somebody that wears a dress for 18 hours a day, I deserve to be paid every single hour that somebody watches this thing on the streaming platform. You know, that business model by Disney. That's utterly ridiculous, and that sparked a lot of outrage among the general public, guys. And that's the ego that Rachel Zegler has, that's right up there with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Brie Larson, Lizzo, and others associated or have been associated with Disney. And of course, it just keeps getting worse and worse. She is literally unintentionally admitting here that this movie is going to be a disaster. It's not that Rachel Zegler is against the film, but she is literally admitting how disastrous this movie is going to be with all the things that she's saying. How it's going to be the most diverse film yet, how it's fit for the modern female or for the modern audience, and how it dissects itself from the original German tale. That just tells you all you need to know about this movie and what Disney is doing with Snow White 2024. We already know what's happening with the 7 dwarfs, and she touches on this in just a second, which makes the situation all the more worse, by the way. But one thing that we do know about this particular film is that it is somewhat following the footsteps of The Little Mermaid. You know, you have a lot of cast members defending the film before its release. You have people like Bob Iger, or at the time, Bob Chapek, who was really hyping up the movie, and then it just fell very flat. Now, on top of this, she goes on to elaborate, we have a new modern spin on the Seven Dwarfs that I am sure is going to not be accepted by many, but they can just deal with it. We all have to adapt and get with the times already, and this is a large step for Disney in making that acceptable. We don't need the original tale of Snow White to be told again. This is just repetitive, so we needed a tougher take on this character, one that doesn't take no for an answer and holds a thick skin against her enemies and difficult situations. This is a Snow White like no one has ever seen before, and I am so proud to be honored to have given life to this role for the character in this modern spin on this tale. Those who don't want to accept that can easily just not watch this movie and go about their business. Now again, this is another egotistical actress associated with Disney. I'm not all that surprised. And we already know the whole Gal Gadot situation. Alright, we talked about this, of how she walked away from the Snow White prequel movie that was going to be called Clementiana, which is apparently the code name right now for the evil queen in Snow White 24, and whether or not that's going to be the official name is still up for discussion right now. But what's interesting further, and this is where matters get even worse, is the fact that they are dissecting the story from the original German tale intentionally, and Rachel Zegler admits to this. That just goes to show you how dissected they are really, of course, from reality. You know, they like to use that word, by the way, dissecting. But when you look at stuff like this too, the fact that she openly acknowledges that there are going to be people, and a lot of people, that may very well not accept the new spin on the Seven Dwarfs. So she basically, again, unintentionally admitted that those leaked photographs that we all saw are indeed real. Even though, of course, Disney admitted that they were fake and then backtracked and said that they were real, just not official photographs by Disney. Just goes to tell you everything about Disney. They lie until they can't really get out of that situation, then they will tell the truth. So here in this scenario, you have this film that is just falling apart even before a trailer has even released. And we all know what happened with The Little Mermaid when that trailer dropped. So many people disliked it. So many people were just off-put by what they saw and how cringeworthy it really was. The same exact thing is going to follow with Snow White, and I think it's going to be even worse, because we got to remember that this is Disney's true legacy. This is where Disney movies, mind you, all really began back in 1937. I mean, back then, they really proved it to everybody that they could make it possible, that they could really make an animated film widely universally accepted and successful, and they did. They made it a success back then. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear